Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rohit Pujari. I lead the team of solutions architects at AWS. Today, we have our customer, Anjan, who is the ETL architect at Equinox, to share with you how Equinox is delivering insights and analytics with Informatica and Redshift. We also have Deepak from Informatica to talk about their partnership and offerings that they've built on top of AWS. As we go through this presentation, you will have opportunity to ask questions through the chat window you see. We'll also try to answer as many of them as possible in the hour we have. In the event that we are not able to answer your questions today, we'll follow up with everyone individually via email. Also note that this webinar is being recorded. Slides and link to the slides would be made available to you within the next 2 to 3 days after the session. So please keep an eye out for the email. With that, let's begin. What we've seen is companies that mine data are more valuable than ever, and it has been evidenced by an Aberdeen survey that was conducted, which said that the companies that are taking advantage of data by investing in data lake type projects are growing their revenue much faster than those aren't. We all know the fact that the data is growing at an ever increasing pace. And we also know that there are more ways to analyze data, both in open source and cloud, than ever before. With the abundance of data, we also see that we have abundance of different tools and we have abundance of users who are trying to get value from data. So while it's becoming a very common ask to democratize the data across organization, we also need to make sure that we have the right data governance frameworks in place to prevent the mismanagement of the data. The second trend we see is that with traditional org data warehouses, as the data size grows, they become really slow and expensive. They also lack the flexibility to work with other analytic engines. They don't work very well with open formats and schemas, leading to dissatisfaction among the new generation of analyst population. And it's also very important for us to understand that the choice of our data warehouse affects more than just the data warehousing project. We need to make sure that the tools that we invest in are able to seamlessly work across different data zones. So for example, you might be storing highly structured data in data warehouse. You might be storing raw semi-structured data through JSON files in your data lakes. And you might also have some highly structured data for exploratory query purposes sitting in your data lake. Traditional data warehouses, the way they operate, they treat these data zones as disconnected silos. They don't have quite the integrations in place to stitch together the view of those different data zones into a cohesive picture. And on top of that, these traditional data warehouses we see are super expensive. Amazon Redshift is the most popular data warehouse that's growing today in the market. We have over 10,000 plus customers who are processing over 2 exabytes of data per day with Amazon Redshift. And bear in mind that the traditional data warehouses are very slow in their approach to adopt the cloud patterns to step up today's needs that our analyst population requires. And that's the reason why we see the shift where customers are adopting Amazon Redshift as their choice of cloud data warehouse on AWS. And also, Amazon Redshift is designed with performance in mind. It is the fastest growing cloud data warehouse in the market, nearly 2 times faster than the next cloud data warehouse you see. And we've also benchmarked against our own self. And it's 10x faster than what it was 2 years ago. And if you recently looked at the new concurrency features that we've announced and delivered this year, it now consistently delivers fast performance at scale, even with unlimited users and concurrency. So if you look at the history of Amazon Redshift, you're going to see that we've delivered over 200 features and enhancements based on the lessons we've learned by processing over 2 exabytes of data that customers push through Redshift. And on top of that, unlike traditional data warehouses that are expensive and impose punitive licensing terms, Amazon Redshift is the most cost-effective and fastest growing data warehouse today. It's up to 25% cheaper than the next cloud data warehouse when you use on-demand pricing. And with your reserved instance pricing, you can get up to 75% cost savings. And it's the only data warehouse today that's available with your reserved instance pricing, giving you the best price to performance ratio in running your workloads and dramatically improving your total cost of ownership. And as we stated the point before, that traditional data warehouses don't typically have a cloud approach to how they are working with the rest of the AWS ecosystem services. Unlike those traditional data warehouses, Amazon Redshift integrates with your data lake. So you can not only query and report on the data that's loaded into Redshift tables, but you can also query the tables stored in open formats in S3, such as ORC or Parquet, through a capability that Redshift offers is Redshift Spectrum. Traditional data warehouses, when they run in cloud, they often run in the silos. However, Redshift integrates with the rest of the AWS ecosystem, so you will see the integrations built with our native services such as Athena, SageMaker, Kinesis for real-time streaming, Amazon EMR for processing needs, QuickSight, and SageMaker. And as you continue into future, you will see more and more services will directly integrate with Redshift. And we'll step through these different use case patterns in a minute here. The most common pattern we see is business intelligence, where you collect data and aggregate data from various transactional sources, such as business applications, operational data stores, into S3. Once the data is in S3, glue crawlers can scan that data and populate your metadata catalog. And once that metadata catalog is populated, Redshift gives a couple of options. You can either load those tables into Redshift, or you can directly query the tables that are in S3 through Redshift using Redshift Spectrum. In this instance, you don't have to really load data into Redshift. You can use Redshift to reach out into S3 to get insights into it. And customers have multiple options in how they want to visualize that data. They can use Amazon QuickSight, or they can rely on third-party tools in AWS partner ecosystem to use a tool that's fit for their visualization needs. The second use case we see is predictive analytics, where you see customers typically use Amazon S3 to bring in their raw data sets from multiple sources. And they also use Amazon EMR and Hive to transform the unstructured data and combine that with some of the columns within Redshift and use Apache Spark to process the data and create a combined view that's persisted within Redshift. And from there forward, they can utilize tools like Informatica to cleanse, process, enrich the data such that it's ready for downstream advanced analytics, such as for machine learning and anomaly detection and other types of advanced machine learning capabilities you want to build. And once that data is available in highly structured, refined, cleansed form, you can extract that and store it in Amazon S3 as your training data set. So in this instance, you could use Amazon SageMaker for your model building, training, and deployment purposes and get predictions out of that data. The third use case we see is real-time analytics. In real-time analytics, we see customers use a log stream, clickstream, or events that are coming from sensors out in the wild, and they use Amazon Kinesis Firehose to bring that data in a no-code fashion, where Amazon Kinesis allows you to also perform real-time analytics by expressing SQL queries or Java functions to get insights from that data, or perform ETL upon that data, and then eventually send that data to Redshift through Amazon Kinesis Firehose destination for Redshift. And this is done in a format where a user or a developer doesn't have to write a ton of code. This is the power of Redshift, how it has hooks into other AWS native services, where constructing this pipeline is a relatively configuration-based process. And there are a number of use cases we see that customers are building using Redshift. In financial services, we see customers that are analyzing trade and market data to do risk analysis and fraud detection. In healthcare space, we see customers use Redshift for analyzing clinical records to improve patient outcomes. In advertising, customers are doing all sorts of clickstream analysis to improve their ad targeting. In gaming, we are seeing customers analyze data from games and players to analyze in-game behavior. We are also seeing a great uptake in travel area where customers are using Redshift to create personalized experiences and offers for their customers. We would love to see what you would come up and build with Redshift. At this point, I would like to turn it over to Deepak from Informatica to talk about their offerings and also their relationship with AWS. Deepak, take it away.
Hi, Rohit. Thanks for your insights into data and analytics. My name is Deepak Ram. I'm a solution architect with Informatica. For some who may not be familiar with us, we are leaders in cloud enterprise data management. I'm trying to, next, okay. Our mission is to simply accelerate your data-driven journeys and accelerate your transformation, digital transformation. Modernizing data warehouse may be tricky and comes up with its own set of complex challenges. Right off the bat, data is scattered across your on-prem systems, SaaS, and cloud. So customers have the first, where do I find the data? How do I discover my data? How do I understand the data which I need to bring to AWS? How do I then get my data into AWS? How do I ensure the data which I'm getting into AWS is actually usable, meaning controlling the quality of it, making sure that all the transformations are applied. Then how do I identify my most sensitive data like PII, PHI, and secure? How do I get then monetizing the data? How do I get a 360 view of my entity, meaning a customer, a product, or a supplier, so forth? Then how do I continue governing this data and keep a track of data across my on-prem and AWS systems? We at Informatica can actually help all our customers overcome these challenges. Our platform is built on microservices. Starting with the bottom of the stack, you have a unified connectivity. We have 200 plus out-of-box connectivity to different sources. We have a engine unified monitoring. Over this, we built a artificial intelligence layer we call Clear. All our products are using our AI technologies. And to even simplify further, we built solutions such as enterprise data preparation, data governance, and we are able to then ingest any kind of data, any format, any, like Rohit mentioned, whether it's streaming, whether it's batch, micro batching. For the data management capabilities I touched upon in my earlier slide, we are recognized as industry leaders for all the quadrants, starting from iPaaS, which is our integration service as a integration platform as a service, data quality, master data management, metadata management, and data integration. We are at the right-hand top quadrant in every of these capabilities. For most common paths for data warehouse modernization, what we see, customers may have choices to either migrate. In this case, when I say migrate, like many of you on this call may have a mandate to move and sunset your on-prem warehouses and move your workloads into AWS. Use the efficiencies and scalability AWS offers. This is a typical migrate or lift and shift use case. There's an extend path, which is you may have come across a capacity issue with your on-prem on-prem system, or you may have different integrations which are not the usual integrations. For this, you may choose to still have your on-prem warehouse and still extend newer use cases to support newer integrations into AWS. For some fortunate of us may have the third path, which is start fresh directly on AWS. To regardless whichever path, whichever integration path you take, we will still have the first challenge, which is where do I start? Where do I find the data and discover? For that, we have Enterprise Data Catalog. Here we provide a semantic search where you can search anything, any of the entity across the enterprise. We provide you with rich profiling, data quality statistics, and all this is automatically done through our AI powered discovery, classifications, and business context. Once you understand the data, next step is how do I get the data into AWS? We have our intelligent cloud services for this, and it provides a wizard-based codeless development. Um, uh, it gives you a lot of productivity options such as parameterizing and so forth. It natively connects into AWS major services, and it also has 200 plus connectivity outside AWS for other SaaS and on-prem. Uh, the platform itself comes with a robust HA push down optimization and thread level isolations. Some stats around our intelligent cloud services: 8 trillion transactions, 7 million integrations a day, and over 300% growth in the API integrations. Uh, this is a busy slide. If we had more time, I would have gone into details. This slide talks about our architecture with our connectivity into Redshift. What slide depicts is how we optimize and take advantage of Redshift native compute and also optimize the uh, thread level isolation so you get the performance gain. So in Redshift, we have slices, which are the compute units. So we understand those compute units. We make sure we give you the performance needed by having the multi-part upload and also compressing and encrypting the data while we do this. Another integration pattern we come across is mass ingestion. We have a large amounts of data which needs to be quickly and rapidly moved into AWS. For this, we have mass ingestion. Its capability is to move massive amounts of data very fast into Redshift and S3. A typical warehouse architecture. Starting from the bottom of the slide deck, you see the data exists on your on-prem systems. You have data coming through from cloud and other SaaS sources. Here you have ability through Informatica to migrate the data into Redshift using the optimized multi-part encrypted way. And once you have the data in staging, we are cluster aware. At this point, we support even the ELT, which is extract, load, transform. We support full push down. All your logic can be pushed down to Redshift, and you can take advantage of the fast compute Redshift provides. Once you transfer the data into the intermediate schemas, you can then have ability to master the data, also apply more uh, uplifting transformations and move it to the consumption area. Um, like I mentioned, we have services support for AWS, all the major services. We use EMR, we can integrate with EMR as a compute. We support into Redshift, S3, Aurora, Kinesis, DynamoDB. All of our products are actually certified to run on AWS. We've also automated some of solutions as well as our product deployments in a quick one-click fashion, so that you could deploy our products in a very fast fashion, a very fast way. To summarize, we at Informatica have a proven track for 25 years, and we are leaders in the enterprise data management. And we have thousands of customers, and we will be hearing soon from one of our customers, Equinox. It's my pleasure to introduce Anjan Gunde. Anjan.
Thank you, Deepak and Rohit, for the introduction. And thank you everyone on the call attending this webinar. My name is Anjan, and I'm representing Equinox for today's webinar. I'm very, very excited to talk about Equinox data journey and success story on how we transformed our legacy data warehouse and tools into modern cloud-based digital analytical platform using cloud offering from AWS and Informatica. Before that, I would like to share a little bit about Equinox. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Equinox. Equinox is America's high-end luxury fitness company with around 15,000 employees, those of which include world-class trainers to train our members with the full cycle of their fitness and lifestyle goals. We have over 100 Equinox clubs located in every major city in the United States. We have few international clubs located in UK and Canada as well. There are 200 plus other locations offerings under Equinox flagship brand. Those are Blink Fitness, which is another less expensive fitness alternative. We have Pure Yoga, Soul Cycle, Furthermore, which is a media brand under Equinox. And there is a latest unique new offering is Equinox Hotels, where our guests or members experience a high performance living environment, and they reimagine how they eat, sleep, move, work, and live. Our goal is to infuse luxury Equinox Club facilities into luxury Equinox hotels. This is a place where compromise simply doesn't exist. So the first Equinox hotel is coming up next month in New York City. What we do, unlike other fitness companies where members check in, use a treadmill and lift some weights, but at Equinox, we provide a unique experience to our members based on their lifestyle centered on their movement, nutrition, and regeneration. Also, Equinox showcases science-based research on cutting-edge topics focusing on mental engagement, breath work, movement quality, community, and respect to life, along with state-of-the-art equipment in each and every club. Our line of business offers personal training, Pilates, spa, group fitness, retail, food, nutritional services, and more. That's why our Equinox motto is, it's not just fitness, we call it a life. So I'm just wondering, if you're not an Equinox member yet, please do check out at your closest Equinox club and experience the difference. With this kind of luxury and sophisticated facilities, we needed to have a robust data analytical system in place to analyze the member experiences, assess the business growth, and generate accurate reports to higher management and business users. For that, we built our first ever data warehouse called Life, back in 2008. If you notice, the name it matches our Equinox motto, Life. And the Life data warehouse was hosted on SQL Server, used Informatica Power Center tool set for data integration needs. Power Center was running on SQL Server, business objects for our analytical and reporting needs, and all other good stuff around it. It was a pure traditional data warehouse. Pretty much we followed Kimball methodology and designed fully integrated star schemas and all that good stuff. We built it solid, and it met all our requirements of analytical and reporting needs almost 5 years. But sometimes life wasn't good because of the latest innovations, digitization, and introduction of latest equipment in our Equinox fitness clubs. We needed to collect data from latest connected fitness equipment and analyze and create member experiences around it on the fly. We had to store this kind of data somewhere so that our data scientists, analysts can take a look at it and analyze it. So Live Data Warehouse was not handling these new requirements properly. And apart from these new requirements, we started seeing some bottlenecks in our processes as well. For example, deployment process was not agile friendly, unable to integrate the clickstream data, as I mentioned before, from our connected equipment, unable to meet high demand reporting needs and SLAs, increase on-premise infrastructure and expensive commercial software and licensing. Most importantly, growing data due to our tremendous growth in our Equinox businesses. As a result, we had to begin searching for an alternative solution. This is pretty much common scenario, right? For every data warehouse experience, after it reaches its limits, that's when we need to rethink and adjust it accordingly to continue our business needs and analytical needs. So at that time, in order to overcome all these challenges, we thought about expanding and upgrading our infrastructure, on-premise infrastructure, to big box commercial softwares and databases. And we bought those servers and started prototyping our current live data warehouse onto it. But immediately we started seeing some overheads. For example, we needed to have a platform specific knowledge all across the board, needed to hire new DBAs who knows about the new architecture to support. Development team had to undergo training on about this new infrastructure, new technologies to understand, to implement our strategies. Again, we noticed limited integration of our data sources. Most importantly, it was very, very expensive. So we spent almost 6 months of effort on those strategy, but no results were produced. We had to abandon that effort and go back to drawing board again. Our main goal was at that time to have an economical, sophisticated and friendly technologies which should serve our modern data warehouse and analytical needs. So pretty much basically, we were looking for a bright, new, futuristic, modern data analytical solution. During that critical decision time, our Vice President of Data Analytics suggested to go for and look into cloud technologies, as is more knowledgeable in AWS cloud and other technologies around it. And immediately we started on that proposal, and that's when our modern data warehouse named Jarvis was born on AWS cloud. You may notice the name, it is Iron Man's computer Jarvis. As the name says, he designed and planned this project as smart and as effective as Iron Man's computer is. So on that design, that tool set we adapted was Amazon Redshift to host the data warehouse Jarvis. Exactly at the same time, Informatica was offering Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services, and we adapted that tool set as our data integration platform. it was very good fit for Amazon Redshift as well. And we used S3 for our data lake purpose, also utilized some of the AWS offerings and tools along the way. And business objects and Tableau as for our reporting analytical tools. We deployed many more homegrown APIs to interact and with these main tool sets. If you look at the equation at the bottom, our Jarvis project built on AWS infrastructure using all the offerings with IICS as our data integration platform. This is how our new data warehouse high-level architecture looks like. If you see the left side of our various sources, there are many more, but I put some important ones here. If you look at the Engage is our Salesforce, one of the source. Moso is one of our most member-based information collected database source, and social media and all other sources. So we integrated these data sources using Informatica Intelligent Cloud Services. Pretty much 90% of our data integration is through IICS. And also we used Amazon EMR clustering to stage some data as well. Even at the bottom, we extract the data onto S3 for some analytical purposes. So once we stage the data onto Amazon Redshift, our ELT process kicks off and loads the various data mods within Redshift. The data is then fed into analytical engine for reporting. Some data will consumed by internal APIs to send it to third-party marketing apps and various research and analytical purposes. So at the bottom also we have our own homegrown data quality and monitoring tool set to assess the data quality before even we present it. So this is in terms of Jarvis design methodology. It's more or like star schema methodology still, but we designed it a little bit more flattened structures. As we all know, Redshift is columnar, so having white tables is completely acceptable, and we get very good query performance with it. Since we flattened the facts and dimension structures in this new design, we eliminated junk dimensions and bridge tables. This strategy helped us to avoid complexity in query building around the data mods for our analytical teams. So pretty much we created a very user-friendly analytical system so that our analyst team don't need to build complex queries. Also, we conservatively designed and used type 2 dimensions, which we don't need that many. The major change we did was from our live to Jarvis, ETL intensive to ELT intensive methodology. So in other words, we designed very lightweight ETLs, the data integration part, with some data cleansing on top of it to stage the data onto Redshift, and built more business rules and logic onto ELT scripts, which will run on Amazon Redshift infrastructure to load the facts and dimensions very fast, in fact, within minutes. So we pretty much took advantage of the tool set we have in hand to achieve optimal performance and maximum benefit out of them. And that's how we balanced workload as well. So with this infrastructure, we built thousands of IICS Informatica Intelligence Cloud Services data synchronization tasks, data replication tasks, and mapping tasks to stage the data with fast performance, and created hundreds of ELT scripts which run on Amazon Redshift's MPP architecture to load the data mods. So just want to mention a few things here on IICS. Informatica is, as already Deepak mentioned, is a leader in data integration domain. At the right time, their cloud offering of IICS helped us tremendously in our replatforming effort. Due to its user friendliness, we started using the tool from the day one of our development effort. As another beauty of IICS cloud platform is it's pretty much I can do any task related to integration with a single sign-on. Of course, depending on the user access level, I can create a connection, deploy, develop any task. It could be synchronization task, a replication task. It could be mapping, a task flow, execution of those task flows, monitoring and execution and troubleshooting all in one place. So that's a very user-friendly tool. You don't need to switch between apps or anything. And import and exports of the IICS assets between the environments for deployment also very, very easy. It does have AWS Redshift native connectivity, and the data loading performance from any source to Redshift using IICS is amazing. And it does have plenty of other connectors to support and extract data from any source in the market. That's how we pretty much are able to integrate the data from all our variety of sources, Equinox sources, without any issues. There are, releasing and implementing more and more features to make it more user-friendly environment. I've been noticing that. Again, as the whole infrastructure is concerned, I just want to give you high-level info on our current cloud infrastructure. We have prod environment and non-prod environment. Prod is with DC to 8 large cluster with 2 nodes. Non-prod is sitting on DS2 extra large cluster with 6 nodes with our development, test, and QA efforts. At the same time, all our Informatica-based services also hosted on AWS secured virtual private cloud environment. We have created 4 IICS data integration environment as well. One is for production, QA, test, and development. So, after all this successful design, development, and implementation of our new modern data warehouse Jarvis, we are able to fulfill all our analytical needs, and we reached our goal of successfully implementing this modern design. So we designed variety of processes around our Jarvis data warehouse. For example, end of day processing, which is a batch processing. It runs once a day to process various previous days data. And also we designed some intraday processes, which runs in hourly basis and generates some important reports. And we also created some near real-time reporting through some of the processes, which runs every 10 minutes to generate some critical reports. So we pretty much designed all these processes to meet our successfully meet our business requirements and the reporting SLAs. Using some AWS offerings, we also developed some bots integration to optimally manage our AWS resources. As an example, one bot kicks off frequently to see any cluster sitting out there not using, so it will warn and kill them so that we can save the resources and time and money. So due to our selection of tools and their user friendliness, we also have a smart team in place there. So we needed to have anything required to adapt these new tool sets. As Rohit mentioned, on cost saving basis, we are pretty much in line with the cost saving with the Redshift solution and IICS solution over our traditional on-premise data warehouse strategies we tried early on. So both AWS and IICS cloud environments provide high availability on their services. In last few years, we noticed minimal or no impact on any of those services during their upgrades or auto patching, etc. We hardly encounter any major issues, but if there is any, then their wonderful support team jump in and resolve it quickly. So though our analytical environment is very critical for reporting, but in case of restart of any IICS secured agent services or restart of red cluster services in any unavoidable situations, and we will be able to do that in few minutes. So what I'm saying is, so we don't experience any downtime at all using these services. So with all this user friendliness of the tool set we have chosen, we pretty much focused on building the functionality of the data warehouse rather than spending a lot on focus using the tool set usage. This helped a lot, and again for our team's productivity. So with all this wonderful support from AWS and IICS, and most importantly, we have the best of the best smart team we have at our Equinox, and we were able to complete the entire replatforming effort from live to Jarvis just within 1 year. With this Redshift integration, we were able to integrate our business objects and Tableau analytical toolset with Amazon Redshift and able to generate accurate timely reporting as well. And our end user business community is very happy with the reports, and the way we present the content to them, it's very great. We all know when our business and the end users are happy, everything is happy, right? So as for our data journey is concerned, it's just a beginning. That's what we feel. We always look for more opportunities, advancements, and continuously evolve to sync with the modern digital world of data and tool set. So at least for now, we are very happily, smoothly sailing along with our modern analytical system. So with that, that's our success story. Hope everyone liked it and someone may relate to it. Once again, thank you all for listening. With that, now I would like to turn it over to Deepak.
Thank you, Anjan, for sharing such an innovative solution. This was very informative. Now that you have learned and heard from AWS and Equinox how they were able to modernize their data warehouse, I wanted to leave you with steps to get started. What I have here is a quick start. This is an automated quick start solution. Includes Informatica data catalog to discover your data. Includes intelligent cloud services to migrate the data into Redshift, and the solution brings up Redshift S3 and also a visualization layer Tableau. The solution comes with test data and user guide. We have some trial licenses as well. The next step is next asset we have. We're going to be releasing a self-serve assessment. This is a free on-prem assessment of your data warehouse, and it gives recommendations to move to AWS this end of this month. More information about of this assessment can be found at informatica.com/AWS. It also has, this website also has a lot of other relevant information for AWS. Thank you. On to you, Rohit.
Thanks, Deepak. And thanks, Anjan, for sharing the great work you've done with Informatica and Redshift. We are now going to transition into our live Q&A. You'll be able to submit any written questions through the questions panel you see. In the event we are not able to answer your questions today, we'll follow up with everyone individually via email. So go ahead, start putting your questions into the chat window. So the first question I have here is, for Informatica. So Deepak, when should I leverage Glue and when should I leverage Informatica? Will you provide your insight into it?
Yeah, sure. So we have customers using Glue and Informatica, IICS in conjunction, our cloud services. Most of our customers have different use cases. One solution does not fit everything, but I'll give you a general guideline, which is most of our customers, if it's a very simple, the data already resides in AWS, meaning S3, and it needs to be transferred over to Redshift, they generally look at using Glue. If it is a more complex integration which requires you to get the data from different source systems, and you do not write any custom coded out connectors, at that point you generally use Informatica to migrate the data, ingest the data as well. If you have, most of our customers have enterprise grade, so they have schedulers, jobs, and all these integrations with data quality, master data. When you have your integrations require these kind of use cases, that's when you use Informatica. um, I, you know, hope this
Great,
answers the question.
great. Thank you for that. The next question I have is for Anjan. There are DI tools in the market. Why did you choose Informatica IICS while redesigning your modern cloud-based enterprise data warehouse? Deepak, you want to share your insight? Anjan, you want to share your insight?
Sure, Rohit. It's a very good question. During our tool evaluation time of our, replatforming, we looked into other data integration tool set, but due to ease of use, and as I mentioned earlier, we were using Power Center tools for almost 20 years. It's so long, and it was easy decision, easy choice for us to go for well-known user-friendly tool than experimenting with others. And we already talked about it. It's Informatica is well known and is being a leader in data integration domain, which we adapted. And that's an easy choice for us to go for IACS offering other than experimenting on other tools to waste our time. So that was a choice we made, and it's greatly working for us, and we are very happy for their offering and services provided. Rohit, back to you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Anjan. Um, the next question is for Informatica. What is Informatica's position to compete against or for streaming frameworks like Flink or Kinesis? As Informatica developer, how to extend skill set to streaming frameworks? Deepak, would you like to comment?
Yeah. So Informatica has a great story for streaming. We have intelligent cloud services as well as our big data product support streaming. A lot of our customers are using streaming. So it's just an extension of the different use cases we support. Rohit.
Great. Thanks, Deepak. Question for Anjan. Do you still have on-premises enterprise data warehouse?
Yeah, a little bit still, until I think last month, we slowly migrated each and every report, each and every functionality into cloud-based. Until last month, I think we are now 100% full-fledged cloud-based modern digital data warehouse Jarvis. So on-premise is completely, we completely removed at this time.
Great. So Deepak, this one is for you. Was IICS available in Informatica Cloud or in AWS infrastructure?
So IICS is the compute layer which supports IICS is driven by Secure Agent. Secure Agent can be hosted in AWS and can be hosted on-prem as well. We have our own hosted agent as well, which would serve as a serverless if you were to. Rohit.
I see. I see. Good. And this may be a question for Anjan here. So in your architecture engine, why EMR was used with Informatica to ingest the data when Informatica could process the data?
Yeah, we have different requirements and analytical team looking for different approaches to load the data. It's whatever the process we build consistently, we used Informatica for that. But there is certain analysis where data scientist needs, we build that, I showed you in my diagram. We just spin EMR clusters and load the data onto S3. And that part is the unstructured data and different kind of data we store on S3 to analyze the different processes. But as I mentioned, 90% the data integration through IICS, but certain things with some kind of a special requirement, we used that Maximilian homegrown tool to extract the data using the AWS EMR. It's just a completely requirement, on-demand based methodology.
I see. There are two other follow-up questions for you and Jen, so stay ahead. What challenges you faced in transitioning from your on-premises enterprise data warehouse to AWS? And then did you see or face any setbacks in AWS cloud when you tried comparing it to hosting the database locally?
Yeah, pretty much is more advantages, as I mentioned, on-premise versus on cloud. We have not faced any roadblocks or issues during the conversion process. Actually, none, because we figured out that instead of migrating existing our data warehouse, then rebuilding a new processes were more economical. Since we also changed our methodology from ETL based to ELT based, so we had to develop our complete even data integration tasks on IICS and develop ELT scripts on Redshift. So pretty much we did this completely in a new way, not to migrate anything from the old to new. It might cause some problems, bottlenecks here and there. So our approach was to start everything from the scratch by keeping our fundamental business rules in place. So with that approach, it worked very well. As I mentioned, within 1 year, the entire conversion happened without any glitches or anything. Again, the timing wise, the performance wise, we tremendously experience a high performance because the ELT methodology, and we took advantage of Redshift's MPP architecture and the loading, as I mentioned, the intraday process every 5 minutes loading, everything was going very smooth, and no glitches and no bottlenecks, and it's just a very high performance and high scalable data warehouse in place right now.
That's great. Another question for you, Anjan here. Why did Equinox choose AWS and not GCP? What was your consideration?
Same answer. AWS being leader in the cloud technologies, and it provide well secured environment, and there is no other solutions close to AWS. And as I mentioned during my presentation, our team is more equipped with AWS technologies than anything else, and our vice president of data analytics team is more knowledgeable. That's the reason on a daily basis we are using whatever the latest tool is available, and we are using it our purpose and utilizing the services. To answer the question straight, it's a leader in cloud technologies, and there's no other solution close to AWS, and just we adapted it.
I see. Great. Question for Deepak. Does IICS replace Power Center?
So IICS addresses many set of integration patterns. We do not see that IICS will replace Power Center. Power Center will still exist, continue to support integrations, and so will be IICS. The main thing with our integration services is that it is built on a very new microservices. So you will have, as a user, you will have a unified experience whether to use data integration or API integration, data quality, master data management, catalog, everything from one unified experience. Rohit, great question.
Thank you. This is the question for likely Anjan or Deepak, whoever it is. Can you give us some examples where this solution helped you in your daily transactions? Maybe Anjan, you want to take a shot at this question. It doesn't have a lot of context, but try to answer your best.
Yeah, again, by comparing, our traditional approach to cloud approach because of the environment, because of the power of the tools, and not having so much bottlenecks on the, compared to on-premise to the cloud, the processing windows tremendously reduced to meet our, reporting needs. We are pretty much close to real-time reporting environment we created with this tool set. And again, as I mentioned, we are maintaining pretty much a multi-terabyte data warehouse on this AWS Redshift cluster. And if you think about it, it's not a big data, but we have a quality of the data, and we process on minimal window timings to meet our every requirement, and no glitches while loading, staging the data. Also, no performance issues while processing the data modes on the Redshift itself. So compared to traditional and cloud-based, we see a tremendous performance improvement on the way we designed it, and services offered by AWS and IICS. Pretty much all these three things helped us a lot not to have any bottlenecks during our processes. Hope that helps, that answers your question.
Thanks, Anjan. So we've got time for one other question here. This is likely for Deepak. We are using Informatica to move data to AWS Aurora Postgres, but we only have ODBC connector. Does Informatica use a native connector to Redshift?
Rohit, yes, we have a native connectivity to Redshift. The architecture was explained in the webinar, but it is a very high performant native connectivity to Redshift.
I see. Great. Well, thanks, Anjan and Deepak. On that note, we're going to wrap up today's webinar. As a reminder, you will receive an email within next 2 to 3 days with link to the slides and recording of today's webinar. We want to thank you all very much for attending. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.